Welcome back everyone, I'm Craven and this is Trails the Third. I've been busy. I've been playing around with some of our backup characters just to level them up, give him more recent equipment, checking out their ornament settings and stuff like that. And I thought, because we have some memories for Olivier and potentially Mueller, I thought leveling them up and sorting them out would be a good thing, because we don't know what kind of memory it is. If it's a memory we have to fight in, increasing their level, their equipment and ornaments might be a benefit. Either way, it's never a bad thing to have your characters level up. So what I did, where I am at the moment, is I took them from 106 to 114, and both 114 by now, so yes. So that's actually pretty decent. And also Kevin learned Gorgon Arrow while we were busy doing that. And of course I'm in playing around with Ren a little bit more because she's a damn fine healer and arts user. So, and of course the 30% death blow doesn't suck either on most enemies. So for today and possibly the next episode we have two, I think we have even three doors we can do. One of them said that we needed to undergo a trial in order to see the memory. Didn't say anything else, so it might be an off story about some of the characters we met along our journey through these three games. We got the one with the markings of Olivier and Mueller. No, there is. I think that those are the two we have. Right, yeah, let's have a quick check. It is all done. And this is Olivier. Yes, and this is the trial one. And for this one we only have the sun, which is the arena, which I think we haven't even gotten the invite yet. So that is something that will be going along the way. So for today I want to focus on star 8, and depending on the time, after that star 7, but I'm doubting that we'll have enough time afterwards to start an entire new door. So let's teleport to Olivier's door and let's go into it. And of course, before we head out towards plane number 6, we'll talk to everyone at the main location, of course, before we go, just to see what their thoughts are, and of course talking to the spirit of Celeste. Bring to me the playful minstrel and his closest ally against the beast they seek to overcome. Only then shall the door open. Yes. We definitely want to know what they've been doing. I shall grant you a memory fragment and my blessing. One month after the collapse of the Liberl Ark, the banquet to celebrate the crisis's successful resolution was over, with Estelle and her friends having largely left the capital to go elsewhere. One of them, however, Prince Olivier Ries Argent, sat rather comfortably in the ambassador's office in Grancel's Erebonian embassy. His work in the country not quite settled. I can't believe that about you. I mean, my deepest apologies for not noticing that you were His Highness Prince Olivier sooner. Oh, I'm not surprised you never realized. I may be a prince, but my mother was a commoner. What point is there in bothering to remember my face? It's not as though I often showed myself in the palace or attending high society gatherings. Knowing me certainly isn't going to help you in moving up in ranks, my friend. Well, there's no need to be so humble, Your Highness. Besides, I'm actually rather grateful to you, Ambassador. You gave me all kinds of useful advice during my stay here at the embassy that I'm sure will be to my benefit in the future. well-meant words such as act like a man of the Empire for once in your life and stop idling here, go home and try doing some damned work. Your Highness, Your Highness, I think you tormented him enough for one day. The ambassador behaved in the same way any other sane man would in his position. If anything, I'd say he was every right to be angry at us for keeping the truth from him for so long. But Mueller... I suppose you're right. I'll spare him any more teasing for now. I actually wasn't joking about being grateful to you, though you truly have done admirable work over the past month. I have? Acting as a pipeline with the Empire, checking the safety of Erebonians residing in Liberl, helping the international liner service to resume. And those are only the tip of the iceberg. You've done so much more. You have my deepest thanks as a prince of the Empire. I am not worthy of such praise, Your Highness. You, however, deserve the utmost for braving the dangers you did flying up to the Liberl Ark. All of what happened seems to have caused quite a commotion in our homeland. So the people seem to rather relieved now that they know the danger has passed. It's all thanks to your courage that they are able to rest easy. Oh, there's no point flattering me, Ambassador. I just did what I could. Nothing more, nothing less. I couldn't have done anything alone. All I was able to accomplish was thanks to the help of those around me. I am fairly removed from the stereotype of Erebonian as stern, strong and self-sufficient, if I do say so myself. As rude as it may be to agree, perhaps you're correct. And yet I believe your willingness to be flexible most definitely helped rather than hindered you there. I believe people like you are exactly what the Empire is going to need in the future. Regardless of how I may feel about His Excellency the Chancellor's approach. Ambassador. Well, this is a surprise. I was under the impression that you supported the Chancellor. Then again, you are a noble. Does that lead you to oppose his reformist policies, perhaps? I may be a noble on paper, but I'm only a baron. All in all, I generally fall in favor of his reformist policies. But be as it may, while this may be the result of being a liberal for so long and being influenced by the way of its people, I do sometimes find myself becoming frightened by his hardline approach. I can't help but wonder exactly what direction he's trying to take our old nation. Interesting. Your Highness? Oh, I was just thinking, and I'm quite glad to have taken the chance to engage in such fruitful talks with you before departing the country. I pray you will continue doing all you can to ensure peace in Liberl and the surrounding nations while I'm gone. Preferably in cooperation with Ambassador Cochrane. Yes, let's not forget about her, I suppose. Still, it's true that since the non-aggression pact was signed, there has been some progress with regards to the crossbelt problem. And given that it was Liberl who proposed said pact, that makes my role in future negotiations very important indeed. I presume that this is what you're trying to say? You're a sharp one, my good man. Excellent. Now I can return to the capital with my mind at ease. Leave everything here to me, Your Highness. I will be looking forward to hearing what you achieve back in our homeland. Is there going to be a very big future for Olivier in future installments? It does seem that way, isn't it? Like he's going back in official position, meaning that if we're going to play other games later on that are in that area, we'll definitely hear about him, maybe even see him. To be honest, if that's the case, I'd rather play with him in my party in future games as well. Because you can say what you want, he's definitely a good art user. This truly is a country like no other. I never thought the day would come when I would hear things like that from a noble of the Empire. Indeed, he apparently is somewhat less of an obstinate man than I thought he was. Perhaps this nation's very air has the power to genuinely change people. It seems to have had an effect on you too. I feel like I'm seeing a lot more smiles from you these days than I used to. I am loath to admit it, but that may well be true. I still find myself wishing that you would learn from Liberlian's dignity and sense of restraint, however. Two qualities you don't particularly possess in any measure. In fact, You have far too much of their opposites. You say that, but these qualities are the only weapon that I have. I don't have much that will allow me to compete against the Chancellor. I need to use what little happens to be tucked in my corner as best as I can. Have there been any changes to our plans? None. We should be able to proceed as arranged. 3 days ago, the Chancellor left the capital on a tour of Eastern Erebonia. Tomorrow, you will be returning there aboard the RC, while he's still out in the east. All those who need to be made aware of our return have been given proper notice. Your arrival in Erebonia will make a real impact. Of that I am certain. What potential obstructions to the plan are there at present? Nothing major. There have been some movement in the Intelligence Division's 4th subdivision, but not much. There's a chance that everyone is being cautious because the RC is involved. But I put greater odds on the idea that everyone is just treating this as a pompous performance by you and not taking it seriously. Well, they be right to it is. I've no choice but to start here, and even if this means I have to use Liberl. Yeah, you can say that his behavior, his personality, even though it is probably part of who he is actually using it to lower the guards of everyone around him. Because if they don't take him seriously, he may be able to make moves without them even noticing it, because they do not expect that of him. Like I said, I expect great things of him in the future. And if I'm going to put on a show, why not put on the finest one the skies have ever seen? Well, I suppose I can't argue with that. Oh, I'm sorry to trouble you at this late hour, Your Highness. A message has arrived for you from the Heimdaller. What would you have me do? Really? Alright, come on in. Pardon me. Lecter? It is Lecter. Why is he being so formal? This is awkward. I want the one I saw at the school back. Well, if it isn't Lecter. I was wondering where you'd been. I haven't seen you all day. Well, I've been exceptionally busy with some work since this morning, I'm afraid. I'd hoped to be able to come and see you earlier, since you will be leaving tomorrow. I'm terribly sorry for not being able to. Never mind that. If that work of yours is done now, we three could always enjoy some sensual quality time together for the remainder of the night. So, what was the message from the capital secretary? They acknowledged receipt of His Highness's message. However, they didn't anticipate that you may be able to arrive all the way from Grancel in less than half a day. As such, they are currently in a minor panic, trying to ensure everything's ready for the ceremony tomorrow. That doesn't come as a surprise. There's nothing like the RC when it comes to speed at home. How cruel you both are for deftly ignoring my proposal. Although, it sounds as though the stage will be set in time. Now I need to decide on an outfit that will leave everyone's jaw on the floor to sweeten my arrival. Yeah, the red clothing we are using actually at this time in the dungeons. Perhaps a glistening coat and white loincloth will do the trick? That will make an impact, alright. I almost wish I could go along and see it myself. Please, do not encourage him. You show remarkable promise for someone so young. Well, when we were at the academy, he showed signs of having a little bit the same personality as Olivier. What do you say to come back to the RC with me? I'd welcome your company. Your work here, Liberl, is just about done as it is, isn't it? Well, your offer is certainly tempting, but I'm afraid I have another job to take care of soon. The thought is appreciated, of course. Really? Well, that's a shame. Good luck with that next job of yours. Thank you. Well, if you'll excuse me. I do like the fact that we are seeing Lecter right here, because he basically disappeared at some time during his year at the academy, and nobody knew where he went. Just that he was like going on another job of some kind. So this is basically where he was. So that is the second secretary Lecter Arndel. Is it safe to assume he's one of the chancellors? Almost definitely yes. He came through Hakken Gate on foot and took up his new position at the embassy a month ago. And right around the same time we headed to the Liberl around the RC at that. There's no way that could possibly be coincidence. No, it couldn't. The most likely possibility seems to be that he's part of the intelligence division. Ah. That does explain a bit. Would it mean that he was at the academy as part of the intelligence division as well? That maybe he was there to keep an eye out on some favorable people that were studying there? I'm not initially saying Chloe because he was already there before she came there, but there were other, let us say, wealthy, well-known people there at the academy as well. Like Felicity, for instance. Maybe that's it. And that's why he went away, because he got called back for a greater job that he needed doing. Maybe. Are you sure not doing anything regarding him all this time was a good idea? Oh, absolutely. We need some way to find out what the Chancellor was up to after all. We'll probably get some kind of reaction from the Chancellor through his reports at some point. Probably in about 2 weeks, when the Chancellor's tour has finished. You planned that far ahead all along, had you? Well, in that case, I'll be sure that we're ready. And this is it. Do you see what I mean? That even though with his personality, he is still using it intelligently, taking that far ahead about things that might happen, what he can use to his own advantage. And you know what they say, sometimes it's better to keep your enemies close, just so you know what they're up to. I'll be counting on you, love. Oh, something the matter? Not really. It's just the moon has come out. And what a beautiful full moon it is. It's strange to think that this will be the last time we'll see the moon from here. Truth be told, I'm going to miss it. Well, it looks like putting a smile on your face a little more often isn't the only thing Liberl's done for you. It opened up your eye to life's natural beauty as well. But in all seriousness, we'll just have to do all we can to be able to come back here and see it again one day, while we're both still alive. Indeed. And let's be honest, even if I say I do want to see Olivier in future games, means he's not the only one I want to see. I want to see everyone. Estelle, Joshua, Mueller. Of course. Why not? I know who they are, their personality, what they have done for us. And seeing what kind of things they will be doing through the other games we'll be playing, I bet it's gonna be amazing. The next morning. Your Majesty, Your Highness, I humbly thank you for both your generous hospitality during my stay in your fine kingdom. You were even gracious enough to humor my brazen request of escorting me back to Heimdallr aboard the RC. This debt I owe you will be repaid many times over in the future, rest assured of that. Oh, you didn't need to think of this as anything we went out of our way for. Escorting an honored state guest back home is a matter of course. Particularly a guest to whom we owe a great debt of gratitude. If you ever have the opportunity, please do come back to Liberl again in the future. I imagine Estelle and Joshua will be back by then too. So we'll all be able to give you a nice warm welcome. I'm already excited for my next visit. Have they left the country yet, by the way? They are busy getting ready to leave over in Roland at the moment, I believe. I'm planning to see them off when the time comes. I see. Incidentally, while the ruins of Hemel are currently sealed off, I'll do what I can on my end to ensure they are allowed inside. Could I trouble you to pass that along to them? Certainly. Thank you very much, Your Highness. Oh, think nothing of it. It's the least I could do after all they've done for me. I owe you a great deal too, Cassius. If not for your assistance, stopping that armored division from crossing into Liberl would have been as simple as it was. I could say the same to you. Still, as I'm sure you're aware, that outcome will have been well within the realm of possibility for the Chancellor. I doubt he was even surprised by the incident. Really? Most likely not. Erebonia has nothing at all to gain from using that situation to occupy Liberl. Certainly not to the extent that it would be worth going out of their way to develop insufficient steam tanks. The only reason I can see for him doing what he did was to show power to surrounding nations, a statement that even without orbital power, Erebonia's army could still act. I indeed suspect it was his true aim all along. Well, strategically speaking, very bold and a very powerful move. Oh goodness. So you did notice. The orbital shutdown phenomenon was a complete unknown to the rest of the continent. Perhaps it might never occur again, but there's always a chance it might, whether it's here or somewhere else entirely. Yes, I hear the Empire only built a relatively small number of those tanks in all too, certainly not enough to launch a full-scale invasion. By the sounds of it, they were just put together in Reinford's factory using parts intended for standard orbital tanks. But as it stands, the know-how to put together tanks like that only exists in the Empire. And in these unpredictable times, no other nation has the time or resources to try and develop extremely inefficient steam-powered weaponry. In a sense, because of what just happened, the Imperial Army's effect as a deterrent is even greater than ever. He's using war as a diplomatic tool, and very effectively at that. Oh, none of this had even occurred to me. I have long to go before I'm fit to be the ruler of this country. Oh, don't beat yourself up about it. He's no ordinary foe to even most hardened veterans. The Chancellors always seem to be thinking several steps ahead of the rest of the world. It's impressive, no matter what we may think of his actual ideas. I'm quite a reckless fool for trying to challenge him, if I do say so myself. Oh, don't be silly, Your Highness. How can you say that with a smile on your face is utterly beyond me. You should focus on building yourself a strong foothold to begin with. I do hope you'll be careful. No matter what may occur, be sure not to lose sight of exactly where you stand. Of course, Your Majesty. If I were to go and bring shame upon myself now, I'll be wasting all the effort involved in escorting me back home. I'll be sure to take what you said to heart. Excuse me, Your Majesty? Hilda? Whatever is the matter? Isn't often I see you so flustered. Oh, my apologies, Your Majesty. It's just that the guest for you arrived all of a sudden at the castle. Ordinarily, I would not rush in while you were meeting with others, but the visitor is so irregular that I thought you should know at once. The Chancellor? God, that would fit with irregular. Irregular? How so? It sounds it's about time I take my leave then. Actually, the visitor said he would like to greet you as well, and not just Her Majesty. What? Hilda, just who is this visitor? Well, he introduced himself as Chancellor Ries Argent of the Erebonian Empire. Like I said, thinking a few steps ahead of the rest of the world. It's an honor to be granted a personal audience. I am Ries Argent, representative of the Imperial Government. My apologies for the abrupt intrusion. So you are Chancellor Osborne. And it's a pleasure to see you again as well, Your Highness. It's been a year since we last met, has it not? I hope these passing months have seen you well. Yes, a year sounds about right. Still, well, I hope you'll forgive me for asking. Just what did prompt someone of your stature to appear at the castle without warning? I'd very much like to hear your side of the story. My apologies, Your Highness. You see, these past few days I've been touring Eastern Erebonia on routine inspections. It's been going very smoothly, more so than I had initially anticipated. I had enough free time in my schedule to pay a cordial visit. Oh my, is that so? Naturally. I would have preferred to come here with the crisis was still unfolding like you yourself did, Your Highness. Unfortunately, the confusion in southern Erebonia was simply too pressing a matter and I had no choice but to deal with that first. It was the first chance that presented itself to come here and meet directly with Her Majesty, so I acted with the utmost expediency. I hope you'll forgive me for my lack of proper decorum in failing to give advance notice to my arrival. Ah, that does make sense at least. Regardless, please don't concern yourself with me. No doubt you wish to offer your greetings to Her Majesty. My thanks, Your Highness. Well then, allow me to extend my most heartfelt greetings to both of you, Queen Alicia and Princess Claudia. It is abundantly clear that the crisis that unfolds here has been quite the ordeal for yourself and for your nation's people. You have my deepest sympathies for hardships you've endured, as well as my commendation for bringing the situation under control. I thank you for your kind words, Your Excellency. If anything, we should apologize to you for the fact that the southern side of your nation was caught up in what should have been our problem. We would be the ones going to you rather than having you trouble yourself to come all the way to Liberl. I beg you to accept our apologies together with my deepest thanks for coming here today. I would never ask for apologies. I've heard what happened was the work of a shadowy organization stirring up trouble within your borders. What I meant, well, by sending a military force to aid you, I wouldn't have done something so careless as had I known the truth of the matter. My actions were rash, foolish, even I was rightfully reprimanded by His Imperial Majesty for them. Oh my. Fortunately, His Highness the Prince was able to act with all due haste to put right my misstep before even greater harm was done. I owe you a great debt of gratitude for that, Your Highness, and congratulations besides for your part in bringing an end to the crisis. Oh, I did nothing of the ordinary. I had a lot of help from Her Majesty, Your Highness, and Brigadier General Bright here too. Ah, Bright you say. It is a pleasure to meet you, Your Excellency. I am Cassius Bright, a Brigadier General in the Liberalian Royal Army. The pleasure is all mine, I assure you. Your name is rather well known even in the Empire. Not as much as yours is known here in Liberl. I would imagine it's an honor to be able to speak with you in person. It certainly is a surprise to be able to, though, coming here on a whim can't have been easy for a man as busy as yourself. It sounds as though I might have underestimated just how capable you truly are. Oh, not at all. I was greatly impressed to see the Royal Army effectiveness in dealing with the tumult here. Is it me? Or are they all bothering each other up a little bit much there? I feel like there is like a political play in the background going and they all know about it, but they're not saying it. Yeah, very intriguing. Your forces have proven powerful yet flexible, capable of dealing with emergencies ably and decisively. I might go so far as to say it embodies an ideal that the Imperial Army, with its swollen ranks, would never hope to realize. Ah, you flatter us, Your Excellency. For your part, I hear you were responsible for the establishment of the Imperial Army's famed intelligence division. Our army is in a desperate need of a new one of its own, so I find myself quite envious. It does almost sound as though the two of us each want what the other has. So it does. May I ask, Your Excellency, what will be you doing now? For my part, I'm intending to leave Liberl today, so I'm afraid I won't be around much longer. Ah, yes, I have been told. I believe you're intending to make your grand arrival in Heimdallr aboard the famous Arsene? I'm impressed you're already aware. I almost wish I could return to Arbonia on board it alongside you. But alas, I'm afraid I have other business demanding my attention after I'm finished here. I will be leaving Liberl separately this afternoon. Ah, that's a shame. I would have very much liked to invite you to this evening's banquet. Please, you do not need such troubles on my account. I feel as though I put you out enough showing up unannounced as I did. So, nothing of dining with such an esteemed company. Still, I do have some time before the airship I'll be leaving on is due to depart. That being the case, may I ask for a little of your time, Your Highness? I have a few things I'd like to discuss with you, personally. Very well. I have some matters I would actually like to discuss personally with you as well. Ah, what a fortuitous coincidence. Allow me to have a room arranged for the two of you to have your discussion then. Hilda, if you would. Certainly, Your Majesty. Ah, such a political play there between the two, just pushing each other, showing how far they can go. It's a battle of the minds, if you will. Ah, it is obvious that Her Majesty is quite the tea fancier, if this blend is anything to go by. The fragrance, the temperature, the taste. I'd be hard-pressed to find a fault with any of it. I've always been more of a coffee man myself, but I have no doubt that I'd be content with a cup of this at my desk each morning. As I much agree with you, I don't believe we're here to talk about beverages. So, shall we get right to the point? What did you want to discuss with me? I see your sojourn in Liberl has proven most fruitful. Pardon? When we last spoke, you struck me as a bright, flexible young man, and no doubt you still are, but now I see in you a resilient inner strength girding those aspects. I'm sure His Majesty will be most delighted with your personal development. Meanwhile, I see you're the same fearless man I've always known you to be. More so even. That crushing aura about you seems to have only grown over time. It's as if you feed on the resentment of those who lived in the territories you annex. Such hard words, Your Highness. Personally, I prefer the term political unification, and annex can carry such negative connotation, you know. Since the end of the 100-Day War, our army has committed a single act of aggression. All our unifications have been entirely peaceful. Oh, you're quite right about that. On the surface. Oh? It's amazing how similar the annexation process is every single time it happens. It starts with a small nation or independent state with an array of problems beyond repair. Those problems start to worsen, after which Jaegers and other dangerous elements enter, plunging public order in an all-time low. Desperate for a solution, the local government requests the help of the Imperial Army, and before they know it, they're part of the Empire. Well, it's less I can deny that you're saying each instance does share certain commonalities. Still, it's to be expected, an inevitable consequence of the age of unchecked growth and progress in which we live. Or somebody orchestrating everything in the background, and I think Olivier knows this and he's trying to hint at it, just letting him know that he knows what he's doing. Yeah, like I said, this is a power struggle between the two, isn't it? The Empire's army is simply acting in the Empire's best interest, helping to stabilize our neighbors for good of the Empire. And it's understandable that they would. I do find myself rather curious why Intelligence Division members are going to such nations with such peculiar frequency. Well, before the problems I described and worsen, no less. I won't press as to where you came by such information, as curious as I am, but I will say this. At its most basic level, these actions are about risk management. It's because we've been acting to minimize such risk beforehand that the army has been able to successfully quell each problem in turn. With a small price of earning the disdain of the people in those nations, and an increased risk of terrorism in exchange. To tell you the truth, I'm rather astounded that you had the courage to come here to Liberl all on your own to begin with. After all, you've made yourself the biggest target for terrorists in all of Arabonia. Well, to be honest, I think he's probably very strong on his own as well, and he probably has some pretty good security surrounding him, even if we don't see it. Your concern is touching, Your Highness. I would ask that you not trouble yourself with my safety. I employ some very skilled subordinates tasked primarily for eliminating the risk of terrorism attacks against me. Really now? That Lecter is one of those, I assume? A rather peculiar fellow, isn't he? But a very useful one all the same. Working out the schedule for this trip and taking all the necessary precautions to ward off terrorism threats were both his doing. and thanks to his commendable efforts, I can depart for Crossbell free from worries as soon as I finish my business here. Crossbell? Aha, are you surprised? I'll be participating in a top-secret discussion with a representative of the Crossbell government. Recently, a large amount of funding has been flowing into the country through Republican channels, putting our allies on the defensive. I'd always meant to visit at some point, and this seemed the perfect opportunity. Are you out of your mind? Crossbell is full of enemies on different factions of each other's throats. I hear it's now even a hotbed for terrorists and criminal organizations because of its position as a buffer state. Does that really sound like a place the Erebonian Chancellor should be going even on an unofficial visit? I'm surprised to hear you advocating caution in the face of potential danger, Your Highness. After all, it was you who flew into an ancient city at a great risk of your own safety and returned unharmed after surveying it. Compared to such rousing risk-taking, my visit to the Crossbell will be child's play. As I'm sure you're aware, you're regarded as something of a hero back in Erebonia now. To see our hero make a grand return befitting his newly minted legend. And aboard the famous Arsene, no less. Naturally, our hero has also taken the time to ensure that every well-known newspaper and magazine are aware of his homecoming too. Oh, I have no doubt that your triumphant arrival will be every bit as glorious as it is played out in your imagination, Your Highness. Do be sure to capitalize on this chance as best as you can to build yourself a firm foothold. I expect great things from you, after all. And this is him showing Olivier that he knows what he's doing. Like I said, very powerful political power struggle just happening in front of our eyes. And if we would play Crossbell, are we gonna see that same event that he's going to play out there as well? I will be curious to see that. But there's a good chance that we'll have to wait with playing the Crossbell saga, if you may, until the second part is released on Steam as well. So it might be a little time in the future. But don't you worry, we're gonna play Cold Steel the first 2 episodes before then. I think by the time we finish the second one, we can start the first of the Crossbell series. Oh, hey buddy, you haven't changed a bit, huh? Really? Sounds like a ton has happened, huh? But it's nice to see you and your master are doing alright. Lecter? Oh, that's nice. Catching up as old friends from the academy. Well, good day to you, Your Highness. I pray I'm not causing any trouble by taking a tour of the castle like this. The view from this terrace certainly is beautiful, isn't it? What happened to you, Lecter? How did you end up working for Chancellor Osborne? Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't the faintest idea what you mean. Are you perchance mistaking me for someone else? Your name is Lecter Arundel. You were the student council president at Janus Royal Academy, which you attended before leaving suddenly 2 years ago. So no, I'm not mistaking you with someone else. But that's where you're wrong. Because my name is actually Lecter Arundel. Is he messing with her? He is, isn't he? I certainly see how our names could become mixed up, however, they are scarily close. Still, now you know. Please, just call me Lec. Oh, don't try and joke around with me, Lecter. Do you have any idea how worried all of us were when you just disappeared without a word? You submitted your notice to leave the academy, and then were never seen again. Even the otherwise calm Leo let out a cry of anger when he found out. And all Lucy could do was give a sad smile and say, this is just like him, the whole time with tears in her eyes. Jill and Hans were heartbroken, and so was I. Yet, after all this time, you finally show yourself knowing full well that I'm here, and this is how you act, by pretending you're someone else? Lecter! Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. No need for the scary glare. You're still taking things way too seriously. Looks like I'll take more than stepping up as a crown princess to change that part of you. Oh. But you know, seeing you makes me feel kinda relieved. I always figured if someone like you became crown princess, you'd have virtually no freedom to do anything other than work. But from all that reached my ears, it sounds like you were actually doing alright by yourself. And you even made some great new friends after I left the academy, didn't you? Nice. I sure did. Nonetheless, it's thanks to you that I was able to change it all. You were the one who gave me the first push in the right direction. I never got the chance to thank you properly after you left. But all this time, I've always been grateful to you. Well, consider me honored. Do I get a kiss in return? You do not. I may feel respect towards you, but nothing romantic. Aw, that's a bummer. There was me all taken in by how pretty you become, wondering if this could be the start of something downright magical. And what happens instead? My dreams of romance and sweet smooches are crushed to nothing before they can even begin. I know you don't mean a word of that, you know? You're looking very sharp yourself though. It's surprising to see. Every time I've seen you before today, it was in that heavily frayed uniform worn in the most sloppy way imaginable. I think you'll find I was merely making a fashion statement. There wasn't laziness or sloppiness. Every part of it was carefully calculated and considered to have the maximum effect. The scary thing is, I actually believe you. You always seemed as if you cared for nothing but having fun and causing trouble, yet, when it came down to it, you were wise beyond your years. And I've finally seen a part of the reason behind that today. I'll ask you again, Lecter. How did you end up working for Chancellor Osborne like this? Just what happened to you between you submitting your notice to leave the academy and now? I don't think he's at liberty to say, especially if it is working for the intelligence division. Do you know? I have to admit, I never imagined that would be the case. On the contrary, I was expecting you to tell me to back off. Oh, ideals forbid. What reason would I have to suggest such a thing? Yeah, cause if he is from the level of intelligence that I think he is, he would love people to challenge him so he can win them over or crush them entirely. I think it's probably gonna be something like that. Because I feel like Chancellor Osborne, the way he's looking and all, he's gonna be a big player in the later games, isn't he? Or at least bigger than he is in this one. After all, at the end of the day, our positions are functionally the same. I'm not sure I understand. Do you not think so? Personally, I find it difficult to believe that you would not harbor some hatred towards Erebonia as it is today. A grand empire clinging to the glories of a bygone era, ruled by the nobility and shackled by meaningless conventions. Am I wrong? People call me the Blood and Iron Chancellor as though I hold the whole of Erebonia in the palm of my hand. But in reality, my position is far more tenuous. I have supporters and allies in the capital, certainly, but outside its walls the nobility holds far more sway than any of them. And while it is true I hold a great amount of power in the form of the Imperial Army, even then, I truly only command around 70% of it. The remainder is loyal to the nobility, who also maintain their own private armies. With those factoring in, my advantage shrinks substantially. So you see, I'm very much in the midst of a battle to truly exert control. Which is why you're building railway all over the country to expand your area of influence. And you've been annexing new territories to that same end. New territory where he can cement himself as the one and true savior of that region. Is he gonna try to overthrow the empire and start ruling it himself? Would be a great reason to annex new territory all around the empire. As I've long thought, you clearly understand me better than anyone else. That is why I'll say this once again. Work with me, Your Highness. With your support, our nation will be able to bring about real reform faster than ever. The noble faction bloated with its centuries of decadence and can be stopped before they even have the chance to unify against us. Surely that's what you desire more than anything? Let me just simply ask this question, Chancellor. What connection do you have with Ouroboros? I'm afraid I'm not quite sure what you're asking. I will say this, however. I'm a firm believer in using every resource at my disposal in the name of achieving reform. So basically, what he's saying, at least what I'm getting from this, he's not controlling Ouroboros, but he is working with them. For as long as it serves his purposes. That's the way I believe in handling politics. Ah, I see. Well, it certainly does seem as though we would see eye to eye in many ways. And that's all the more reason why I'm afraid I must refuse your offer. Is that so? Yes, I find it difficult to like the rotten noble faction that exists in the Empire. Or perhaps you're right that hate is a more appropriate word. But my feelings of fear towards your methods are far greater than my feelings of hatred towards the nobles. What you seem to be doing is trying to compel Erebonians with the elusive utopia, to whip them into an enthusiastic frenzy. No doubt by successfully convincing the people, the old guard will fall into the metaphorical firestorm created. And yet by then, the gears will have already begun turning. There will be no satisfying aroused populace with a thirst for revolution. The storm will just keep growing larger and more ravenous, engulfing anything and everything in its wake. You know this, don't you, Chancellor? But of course. After all, that's what I intend to happen. It's the first stage of my reforms. I'd be more than happy to share further details with you if you were to decide to work with me, Your Highness. In the meantime, I wish you well in strengthening your foothold back in the Empire. Of course, if that's your intention, you find it is necessity to work with those nobles you so despise. You truly do see through everything, don't you? Well, that sounds like the noon bell. The airship should be arriving shortly. Which means it's time for me to make my leave, I'm afraid. I look forward to seeing you again in the capital in 2 weeks' time. I take it the discussion is over then? What's wrong? You look awfully tired. Oh, nothing. I'm just feeling awed anew at what monster I decided to pick a fight with. He definitely is a monster. But I'm right, ain't I? He's gonna try to throw over the entire empire and rule it himself. Well, I think that's for later concern. Oopsie, I think it's probably about time for the airship to arrive. I'm gonna have to stop you there and get going. What? See ya, Zeke. Next time I see you, I'll bring you some Erebonian salami as a souvenir, okay? Wait, are you planning to just disappear without telling me anything a second time? Oh, got an important question for you. Did you fall in love with someone while I was away? Hit the nail on the head, huh? Aw, that's so cute. First love, right? How does that feel? Heart all aflutter 1 minute, end of the world the next? Oh, don't you dare start teasing me. But you're right, though I did. He rejected me in this very spot not that long ago. Wait, you're joking, right? There's a coincidence I didn't see coming. I'm not so sure about that. I feel like you know everything sometimes. I'm not some kind of all-knowing, all-seeing divinity. That's what makes the world so interesting to me. Oh, I'm happy for you, Chloe. Knowing the pain of a lost love is what makes a girl blossom, in my humble opinion. Do you feel like the whole experience let you get a step closer to the person you want to be? Well, what about you? Do you feel you're getting closer to becoming the person you want to be? By being at the Chancellor's side? Kinda hard to do that when I don't have a person I want to be to begin with. I'm just sticking with him because it feels like it will be fun. That's all. I've been doing it since before I joined the academy, in fact. You have. That prince is proving surprisingly capable, but he still isn't a match for the Chancellor. Tell him to watch his back, alright? So that he doesn't get swallowed up by that monster after he gets tired of dancing. See? Exactly what I was saying. The Chancellor is of such a magnitude, he wants people to challenge him. He takes great fun out of it. And he is right. When someone like that does that, if he's done with you, he'll just swallow him whole. Oh, goodbye, Lecter. Thank you all for waiting. The Calabria International Airliner bound for the Principality of Remiferia will be departing momentarily. Please mind your footing when aboard. I wonder if he did something to the RC, like a warning towards Olivier for not joining him right there and then. Or is it just a show of respect to the RC as it is? Because he did bow towards it. I don't know. But I think it's going to be fun trying to figure out who and how the Chancellor is. Because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a big part in all the future games. So, that was the Blood and Iron Chancellor. I can't believe he actually went out of his way to use a civilian airship, and he probably has a private one of his own. I heard rumors about how out of the ordinary he is, but he lives up to them all. Well, he keeps me on my toes, to put it playfully enough. Him aside, thanks for coming all this way to see me off, Shara. I was lucky I was just happening to have business here at the right time. It feels like this is going to be the last chance we get to see one another for a while after all. Rather unfortunate, as my dreams is and always was to live away my days in the lap of luxury, surrounded by women as beautiful as you. Well, good luck with that. Changing the subject though, who was the young man at the Chancellor's side? He didn't strike me as your ordinary guy. Oh, you could tell? But of course. I'd say I'm used to running into people who are out of the ordinary at this point. We sure fought enough of them. His name is Lecter Arundel. He's the secretary who was sent here by the Imperial government. Apparently, he was one who planned out all the details of the Chancellor's visit to Liberl. I can't pretend to know much regarding his background, but he's exceptionally skilled at what he does. Actually, I know a little. What? Oh? Is that true? Yes. Claudia explained that Lecter once attended the same academy as her and had served as his students' council president. She also mentioned about his sudden disappearance after the academy festival 2 years ago. Unbelievable. Then, someone connected to the Chancellor has visited Liberl first? Then he's very likely to have had his own veritable information network established here long before I even came up with the idea. I think it's safe for us to assume that's the case, which also means that it's safe to assume he knows every detail about all that happened here since. From the coup d'etat to the crisis regarding the Oriole, all of it. This man gets more unbelievable by the minute. Well, he actually gave me a message to pass on to you earlier too. Watch your back so you don't get swallowed up by that monster when you get tired of dancing. He sure knows how to sting where it hurts, doesn't he? It feels like I can see a whole new world of pleasure opening up before my eyes. He should know better. Getting outdone at every turn like this is really not my style. What do you mean? Captain Swartz? I have a little favor I'd like to ask for when we're in the air. Are they gonna do a flyby just to wink at the Chancellor? That would be so Olivier's move to do. I'm rather impressed with how Prince Olivier has come along. No matter how he chooses to act from here, he will have his uses, to be certain. You would say that, given that you think of everyone as your pawns? There's me, the Prince, the Society. Indeed, and I am much the same. We are but pawns on a vast game board that is the Empire, where a thrill like no other will take place. But it's because of you too. Wish to see how that game plays out that you've chosen to stand with me, is it not? Well, hey, what can I say? Just don't forget that this piece right here might not be loyal forever. And such a betrayal would be perfectly fine by me. Or did you honestly think I'd never considered the possibility it may happen? Just thought I'd come out and say it. You're the other Ironbloods doing, by the way? They're all doing very well by the sound of it. At this rate things are going, there's a chance of all of the Prince's efforts will be for naught. Perhaps I ought to hold back on him a little. You sure don't pull any punches, do you? Hey, you know something? I wouldn't write him off so easily if I were you. What? He's doing it. Giving a wink or a rose or anything, something like that. What? Olivier, such a beautiful character. This is brilliant. These look like rose petals? If you look out of the windows on the right hand side of the airship, you'll be able to see the famous high-speed cruiser, the RC. We've been informed that it's on its way to the Imperial capital, Prince Olivier, on the airboy on board. But it's also given us a message to relay on all the passengers on board today. I give thanks to Aegis for the good fortune to have been able to meet you today. May your journey be filled with beautiful roses and her blessings. And of course, may your journey to your homes be a safe and pleasant one. That marks the end of his message. A call of beauty by Prince Olivier. I never thought there was a bigger dumbass in this world than me, and yet here we are. Ah, very well, debaucherous Prince. I look forward to seeing what you can do. Show me how long you can hold out against me. I knew it. He loves it. Because someone to challenge him on a high enough level, that's exciting, isn't it? Ah, brilliant side story. Return to the Empire finished. Received the Divine Eye. Alright, I do want to quickly see what the Divine Eye is. Send Eagle Eye information Septian Vein luck. And a high count of elemental values. To be honest, Kevin should use this. Got the information Septian Vein luck, Eagle Eye, they're all very useful things to have. Definitely. So yeah, I think I might need to change that. And the fact that give us tell us is just a bonus, of course. And this way I can switch something on Mueller. Because I gave Mueller information because I needed him to have something to read the enemies. But now Kevin has the perfect cohorts for that. I can change this one to something a little bit more useful for Mueller. Just have to think about what that's gonna be. I'm always open to suggestions, by the way. Alright, so this is it for this episode, but I really enjoyed this one. That's the whole political play between Olivier, the Chancellor, then Lecter, and of course the Queen and the Princess. Brilliant to see, and to top it off with that flower throwing in the pedal shooting. 100% Olivier all the way, and I love it. Alright, so next time we have a trial to overcome, so I will probably change my party up to my favorite bunch and on the go the trial, because when they say trial, I think it's gonna be a fight. A fight we can surely win, of course, but we'll see the next time. Until then, I wish you all a great night, morning, day, wherever you are, and if you're still here, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and be back next time as we see what the trial really is. Bye bye.